Hey, what's up everyone? GameDad here, coming at you guys with a brand new compilation video, this time taking a look at everything that was in my Sega Saturn Collection Series. It was a two-part series, so we only got a couple of videos to go through, but let's go ahead and dive in and check out what games were in the collection. Alone in the Dark, One-Eyed Jack's Revenge was released in 1993 by iMotion and is a survival horror game and follow-up to the original game from the prior year. While this game is a lot less horror-themed than the first game, there are still some spiritual aspects to it. In the game, you're trying to find a kidnapping victim named Grace Saunders by going to a mansion run by notorious gangsters. Area 51 was released by Midway in 1995 and is a classic arcade light gun style game with cheesy FMV and a lot of action. I remember countless hours playing this game in arcades and having a blast with friends. Having it on the console just means that I get to relive those awesome times with friends and family at home now. Black Fire was released in 1995 by Sega and is a 3D helicopter game where you fly covert missions and take out the enemies along the way. It took me a few tries to figure out the controls for the game since they weren't very intuitive, but the game wasn't too bad overall. Command & Conquer was released by Westwood Studios in 1995 and is basically the only style of gaming I played in my early teen years. I absolutely loved the Command & Conquer franchise. Didn't care much for the later releases, but I spent hundreds of hours taking out NOD and GDI bases and LAN parties with my friends. Criticom was released in 1995 by Kronos Digital Entertainment and is your typical fighting style game. I didn't find anything too impressive with it other than it having cutscenes, which for the time was pretty cool to see. Overall, it felt mediocre to me though. Croc, Legend of the Gobbos was released by Argonaut Games in 1997 and feels like the Saturn's attempt at a mascot. Now, I'm not saying they failed completely, but I don't exactly see any Croc games getting a remaster, do you? It's fun if you've got some time to kill, and it does use a Saturn 3D controller, so that's cool I guess. Die Hard Trilogy was released in 1996 by Fox Interactive and is the only combo pack style game I own for the Saturn to date. It comes with the games for the original trilogy of Die Hard movies. From what I played of it, the controls weren't exactly clunky, but they were fairly difficult to use. It was hard to get John to actually aim properly and take out the enemies. Dragon Force was released by Sega in 1996 and is an all-out epic game set in a fantasy world. The game is a mix of RTS and RPG and was able to have on-screen battles of up to 200 enemies at once, which is crazy at the time. You play as one of 8 different rulers in the game and set out to take over the entire map. Independence Day was released in 1997 by Radical Entertainment and is a 3D game adaptation from the movie of the same name. The gameplay is fast-paced and definitely has movie elements in it, but it didn't have a take-you-through-the-movie plot kind of story. It was more of an aerial dogfight kind of game instead. Not great, but not terrible. Manx TT Superbike was released by Sega in 1995 and has a very Road Rash style racing feel to it, just without the weapons. Something unique to it though is the way the entire screen turns in the first person view. I'm sure some people were a fan of this feature, but I just found myself turning my head to keep up with the on-screen changes. Nights into Dreams was released in 1995 by Sonic Team and was the first game of its kind offering true 3D exploration through flight with the main character. The game is bright and colorful and is also super fun. This game also introduced the brand new 3D controller to the Saturn, which offered an analog-style joystick for the player to use instead of the generic D-pad that most other games used. Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei was released by Sega in 1996 and is a 3D on-rail style shooter where you ride dragons. What could be more fun than that? This series also spawned what is likely the most expensive Saturn game that exists, Panzer Dragoon Saga. This game is a lot of fun with the action happening constantly and the ability to shoot in the full 360 degrees. Quiz Nanairo Dreams was released in 1996 by Capcom, and unfortunately I don't have much that I can say about it because I don't have a Japanese Saturn and this game is region locked. It could be the greatest Saturn game of all time and I just don't know it. Someday I'll get a Japanese Saturn and try it out. Revolution X was released by Midway in 1994 and is a game where music is the weapon. Featuring music from Aerosmith, this game is an arcade-style light gun shooter. While the game is quite corny, it actually plays pretty well and is actually pretty responsive. I didn't play this game too much, but at its core, it felt like a Time Crisis-style game. Just shoot the baddies that are on the screen. Road Rash was released in 1996 by EA and feels more like an actual arcade release of the game than a typical console release. There's nothing wrong with the console releases, of course,
but this version of the game definitely has better graphics and more responsive controls than its counterparts from around the same era. It was awesome to speed down the road and smash into people with my bike, and some good old-fashioned punching. Robotica was released by Sega in 1995 and had a very Doom meets Mech Warrior vibe to it. Think Doom, but as a mech. It was a bit hard to figure out what to do at first, but I was able to slowly pick up on it as time went on. Honestly though, after playing this game, I just put in a copy of Doom and started playing that again. SimCity 2000 was released in 1995 by Maxis and is an okay port of the game. There really was nothing quite like playing this game on PC though. Some games were just meant for greatness on PC and should have never been ported elsewhere in my opinion. I remember spending hours on this game as a kid. Sonic Jam was released by Sonic Team in 1997 and was more of a Sonic compilation disc with a fun little 3D hub world than any kind of new game. Don't get me wrong, it was still fun to play, but for the time, I thought it was more fun to just roam around the hub world to see what all was possible. It would have been fun to see an iteration of this on the Dreamcast as well. Spot Goes to Hollywood was released in 1995 by Virgin Interactive and has you playing as the old mascot of the soda 7-Up. You play as Spot, going through various Hollywood-themed levels and collecting red spots and stars. The game offers a strange isometric view that doesn't really control very well. Not very much replayability on this one. Street Fighter Alpha Warrior's Dreams was released by Capcom in 1995, and I've got to say, this is probably my least favorite of all the Street Fighter games that I currently own. I don't really care for the extra cartoonish look of the fighters. The game controls as you would expect, of course, but overall I just wasn't feeling it. The game just felt off to me for some reason. Tomb Raider was released in 1996 by Core Design and is of course an excellent game, but I feel like either the PC or PlayStation versions were much better than this version. This port of the game just felt a little clunky to me. The game overall is still classic Tomb Raider, just not my favorite port of the game. Sega Touring Car Championship was released by Sega in 1996, and unfortunately, I don't know a lot about this game because I don't have a PAL version of the Sega Saturn. Maybe someday though. Virtua Cop was released in 1994 by Sega and is light gun gaming at its finest. This game is an absolute classic on this console and is a ton of fun. It's simple, it's fast-paced, it's not loaded with cheesy FMV, just cheesy graphics. I think it would be a lot of fun to see a modern remake of this game. Virtua Cop 2 was released by Sega in 1995 and is a continuation of the previous game. With a slightly improved interface and better controls, I personally think that this is a better version than the previous one. Overall, the gameplay is the same in the game, but it's still fun. Virtua Fighter 2 was released in 1994 by Sega and really tries to showcase what the Saturn could do in terms of 3D through a fighting game. The result was blocky, polygon-style graphics and a slightly above-average fighting game. For the time, the graphics aren't horrible, and they showed off the console's power, but it definitely doesn't stand the test of time. WarCraft 2: The Dark Saga was released by Blizzard Entertainment in 1997 and is classic Blizzard RTS at its finest. This is a Command & Conquer style game set in the land of pirates and orcs, where you must create armies, towns, and cities, all with the goal of wiping out all of the other enemies on the map.
And there you have it, everyone. That was everything that was in my Sega Saturn Collection Series. Now, did you notice any games that you like or that you have in your collection? Let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, please be sure to also hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell so you can alert every time I got a new video coming out. Now, as always, I'm GameDad. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.